about the architecture or the block diagram of 8051 microcontroller, and along with that we'll be learning some of the registers. There are many registers, so as time doesn't permit to discuss all the registers in one class, today we'll be discussing about the block diagram, and after the discussion of block diagram of 8051 we'll be discussing about the few registers of 8051. So moving on to the 8051 block diagram, or we can call it as architecture of block diagram. If you look into this particular block diagram 8051, it has totally 9 important blocks, or it has 9 major blocks. You can have a count of it starting from here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So 8051 has totally 9 important blocks, and now we'll see what is the functioning of each and every block in detail. So now first, if we look into the oscillator, give me a second, ma. Look at the oscillator. So generally, what is the functioning of an oscillator? See, for every programmable device, let it be a microprocessor or a microcontroller, anything, any device which is programmable, that particular device need a clock. Why a clock is required? Because clock will be giving a particular time for the execution of an every instruction. So if clock is not there, what will happen is that, say for example, you want to execute 10 instructions. That means you are writing a program which consists of 10 instructions, and assume that there is no clock signal that is being given to the processor or the controller, and there is a chance that the controller can take hours and hours for execution of single instruction. Just assume if it is taking 1 hour to execute one instruction, for 10 instructions it will be consuming 10 hours of time. So a simple 10 lines program, if it is taking 10 hours of time to execute, then you can imagine how slow the processor can be, how slow the controller can be. The processor or the controller is slow means the system on which you are working will become slow. Generally, whenever we are trying to open any particular file, if it takes more than 1 or 2 seconds, the end user, that is nothing but, will be getting irritation, because it will be taking so much time. We might be having a work and we might be in hurry. If it is taking so much time to open one single file, we can't accept that. Immediately we'll move on to the system admin and we'll ask them to fast up the system. So that is what happens if the clock is not being given properly to the processor or the controller. So here, as of now, you can remember that clock will give a proper timing guidance to the processor or the controller. So whatever the frequency or the time period that the clock is generating, within that particular time period only, the processor has to execute all the instructions that are being given by the end user. So that much important is there for the clock signal, and that clock signal is being generated by the oscillator. This entire circuit along with these two capacitors, these two represents the capacitor. So this entire thing we can call it as a oscillator, which will be generating a clock for the 8051 microcontroller. And next is that CPU. As you all know that CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. What is its functioning? In any computer or in any automatic controlling system, CPU will be the heart of that particular system, central processing unit. What it will do, whatever the operation that we want to do with any kind of system, that operation is being processed and is being executed by the CPU. So CPU, simply we can state that CPU will process the data that we are trying to give to the computer. And next, if we move on to the next part, that is nothing but bus control. Bus control, you know what exactly a bus? There will be three different buses. One is address bus, another one is data bus, and another one is control bus. So all those signals, different types of bus signals, they are being given, they are being generated by this bus control. Here we can say one thing, that bus control will not give any kind of bus to whomever they want. Based on the requirement, based on the priority, bus control will release the type of bus. It may release any type of the bus. We have three buses. So if processor wants to communicate with any other device, then it will be releasing data bus. Communicating with any other device means it wants to send some data to other device. So in that particular scenario, it no need to release the control bus, it no need to release the address bus. But what is the bus that it has to release? It has to release a data bus, because processor wants to send data to the external device or internal device also. Say for example, if any other device wants to communicate with processor, if any other device wants to communicate with processor, then in that scenario it has to release two buses. One is the address bus and another one is the data bus. Why address bus is required is that processor will be having a location. So whatever the data that is coming from the other devices, that particular data has to be stored somewhere in the particular location. So the address of that particular location is also needs to be mentioned by the devices whomever wants to communicate with the processor. So because of that reason, when other devices wants to communicate with processor, bus control will release both address bus and data bus, because address bus will tell to the other devices that yes, this is the address that is being allotted for you, you can store, you can send the data to this particular location. Later on processor will work out on that. But when CPU wants, when processor wants to communicate with other devices, it no need to release the address bus, because other devices means they will be ready to accept the data from CPU. CPU no need to specify address for them. So that is how, based on the requirement, bus control will release the type of the bus. And next, if we move on to the IO ports, very important block of this 8051 is the IO ports. These IO ports, what they are going to do? There are four IO ports, not types, four IO ports, where IO stands for input output ports. As in last class, I explained you that 8051 will be coming up with internal memory and internal IO ports. That means to the 8051, internal or external devices can be directly connected to 8051. Whereas in the case of 8086 microprocessor, if you want to connect any device to the 8086 microprocessor, you cannot connect that particular device directly to the 8086 microprocessor. In between the processor and the IO devices, you need to make use of one interface. That means another what we call device you need to make use. But here, if you want to connect any external devices to 8051 microcontroller, you no need to use interface. You can directly connect your device to the 8051 by making use of any of these four ports. So that is about the IO ports. So here simply we can state that IO ports will control the external environment. IO ports will control the external environment. Controlling external environment means it will be taking the input from the external environment. What will be there in external environment? Input devices and output devices. So it takes the data from external environment, and once if it takes the data, then processor will do the necessary operation, and it will be sending the result to the IO devices also. So through the IO ports only, the external environment is going to be controlled. And if you see about the arrow marks, it is a bidirectional arrow marks. From bus control, it is unidirectional. Bus control will release the buses. No one can control the bus control. But if you look into the IO ports, it is having four arrow marks, and four of the arrow marks are of bidirectional. That means IO devices will give input to CPU through IO ports, and CPU will communicate the IO devices through IO ports only. That is the reason why it is bidirectional. And next block is that serial port. Serial port. What exactly the serial port means is that if any device wants to communicate with processor, then that particular device has to send the information bit by bit. It should not send the data parallelly. If it is sending data parallelly, there can be a chance that the data can be merged with one another and the wrong data can be reached to the CPU. So in order to receive the data from the IO devices bit by bit, sending the data bit by bit, that communication we call it as a serial communication. So the device which is sending the data bit by bit to the processor, those kind of devices will be connected to the serial port. And serial port is having two pins. If you see these two, a transmitter pin, this one TXT means this one will be the transmitter device, RXD means receiver device. So TXT is outside of the serial port. That means CPU will perform the operation and it will send the data bit by bit to one particular device. And when it is receiving the data also, in the same case, when it is receiving the data from outside devices, it will receive the data bit by bit. So it will be supporting serial communication. Through the serial port, serial communication is being supported by the 8051 microcontroller. And next, moving on to the timer circuits. Moving on to the timer circuits. So here this timer circuit will it will be working for the timing operations. It will be working for the timing operations. What exactly the meaning of timing operations, that I will explain when I'm explaining in detail about timers of the 8051. As of now, you just remember that this timer 0 and timer 1, they will be used for the timing applications. And next, as I told you, 8051 will be coming up with internal memory. It has two kinds of memories. One is on-chip RAM and another one is on-chip ROM. Whereas on-chip RAM is also called as data memory and on-chip ROM is also called as program memory. While I'm discussing about the features, I have clearly told you that data memory or on-chip RAM memory is of 128 bytes. That means 128 bytes of data memory will be inbuilt within the 8051. And if you look into the on-chip ROM, there will be 4 kilobytes of on-chip ROM that comes inbuilt with 8051 microcontroller. And the last one is nothing but the interrupt control. By looking at the name itself, you can say that it is going to control the interrupts, but the thing is that it will control the interrupts based on the signals that are being generated by the timing circuits. I'll repeat this once again. Interrupt control, it will control the interrupts, and but the controlling of interrupts is being decided by the signals that are being generated by the timing and control unit. So based on the signals that this particular timer circuit is generating, based on those signals, the interrupt control will control the both internal and external interrupts. So this is what all about the 8051 block diagram or the architecture of the 8051 microcontroller. Guys, are you clear?